There's one hidden relic that lets you instantly stun enemies before the fight has even begun, so you can immediately follow up with a stun grab. Yes, this also means that you can climb on the back of an ogre when you see one, which is kinda wild. I will tell you how to get this, as again, it is pretty well hidden, and also go over other amazing mid to end game relics you can find. Now, of course, our videos are story spoiler free, but if you haven't finished the first Vanaheim main quest yet, which like 7 to 8 hours into the game, then come back later. Okay, you're still here. If you are enjoying Ragnarok, then totally leave a like, of course, on the video to show your support, and subscribe for way more content like this. Let's go. The Hilt of Tyrfing is an interesting risk-reward relic, because you sacrifice health for a powerful AoE blast around you that deals quite a lot of damage, like it can kill regular targets most of the time, or it will blast them away, so you can, for example, follow up with a stun grab. Now, there is a limited range, so you want to make sure that you stand close to the enemies, otherwise you will miss and then wasted your health for nothing. And the longer you hold the relic, the more health you sacrifice, and then also the more damage you do. And I found an interesting combination with that secret Steinbjorn armor that I showed you in my previous video. I will leave a link to it in the video description. So with this, of course, after significant damage taken, Kratos' attacks will restore some lost health for a time with this chest. And maybe you already guessed it, but this can also trigger with the Hilt of Tyrfing relic, but only if you sacrifice enough. So here I just activate the relic without holding these buttons. You don't sacrifice a ton of health, so the effect is also not triggered. While after fully holding it, so sacrificing more health, the chest perk always does trigger. And the amazing thing you can do is activate Mist of Helheim and then use this relic to kill an enemy. You'll then also trigger the perk that will give you health back, and it will immediately come in thanks to the area of effect from the heavy runic attack. Like with this combination, I'm getting more health back than I lost from the relic. Now, do make sure that you do not kill the enemies that stand in the Mist of Helheim, because then there's no one left to give you health back. And yes, you can of course also do this and then slash away with your blades, which also gives quite a lot of healing. So you basically got a free, powerful AoE attack every 20 or so seconds, because the cooldown on this relic is quite insane if you like upgrade the relic. And I also use the hands from the Berserker set, because with this you have a low luck chance that successful hits restore cooldown of a relic. And this can also happen quite often with a great luck stat and by swinging those blades. And if you're not familiar, I will leave a link to our full guide on where to get these amazing Berserker items, including a relic that lets you summon swords at the end of this one, for if you haven't checked it yet. And then going back to the build I just mentioned, so the Steinbjorn chest, the gloves from the Berserker set, and then I use the Raven tier waist for some extra healing, which is nice to make sure that you get more health back than you sacrificed with the relic. To craft this Hilt of Tyrfing, you need two things, and I think you will probably get the crafting material first, because you walk past this optional boss that you need to kill during the second main quest in Vanaheim. It's over here on the map, so you can also go back later, take it out. It's a bit tougher, this wolfer, than a regular variant, and then you get the required material. For the lost page, you want to head to the second big optional area in Vanaheim. You can access after that second main mission. Just follow the dog, he will lead you to this amazing side area. It's my favorite, by the way, in the game. So once you get here, you just want to follow the path to your right, and then you will eventually go to a well. It's very hard to miss, and then when you get here, you want to exit through the highest point, which looks like this, and then before you exit the well, you can actually find the lost page, then kick down the chain, and you're back to where you started. And in this area, very close actually from this point, you find another relic called Hilt of Hrotti. This lets you mark enemies with a rune, and if you then attack those targets, you reduce the cooldown, but only for the weapon that you're currently using. And this sadly also means that using your bare hands will not reduce the cooldown for anything, not even for my axe, even though those runic attacks are on screen. I also, when the enemy with the rune is ready for a stun grab, just still hit them with the weapon, so you reduce the cooldown a bit more. And if you kill a target with a mark, you actually get the blessing of the runic for almost 8 seconds. seconds, which of course increase the power of all your runic attacks. I think this relic can be amazing in some situations, like here during this realm tear I use my meteoric strike, heavy runic attack to immediately nuke the elemental shield from the traveler and then follow up with my other blade runic attack as well. More enemies have spawned, so I try to find a great angle to make sure I hit as many targets as possible and then go crazy with my blades, so I hit these enemies all at once and get the cooldown back for my blade runic attacks. And it's great that the traveler of course stays alive longer, so I can get even more cooldown out of him, and after 20 seconds the rune disappears, but then I already have my light runic attack back, so I can immediately follow up to easily finish the fight. So yeah, it's especially great if you're able to hit multiple targets, and I still want to try a runic build, so this relic will totally help with that. And by the way, upgrading the relic will increase the duration of the mark on the enemies. So you get this from 2 of the 3 traveler mini bosses in that crater area in Vanaheim that I just talked about. You can easily reach the first one over here on the map. So that is to the right from where you start. And the second one is over here. And this requires you to change the time of day to night. If you get to this area, it's pretty easy to change the time of day. And then you want to head down and to the left. Then just walk past the plants. Of course, be careful. Then you will eventually see a red chest where you can start the second traveler fight. Killing it will immediately give you the relic. And you, by the way, get the Meteoric Slam runic attack from the 5th Odin Raven chest in Niflheim. And I will touch on that amazing relic I showed you in the intro, which you can also get in Niflheim. First, real quick, because after opening the final chest and getting all the 48 Odin Ravens and completing what happens afterwards, which I won't spoil, you get the Hilt of fosbandr relic that if you upgrade, increase the duration of the protective effect to 14 seconds. By activating this relic, you slam a sword on the ground. This will send the enemies nearby flying and gives you this unstoppable aura. So normally a Draugr hit would, for example, do this, but with the aura active, you only take a fraction of that damage. And the other thing is that you can take hits now like a champ. So normally a traveler would of course push you away when you're being hit by one of them, but with the relic active, you can keep slashing away. Like sure, you still take some damage, but it's way less and you're not interrupted anymore. The sad part is though that because you take reduced damage, you cannot trigger the Steinbjörn perk during this aura. But apart from that, I think it's pretty good and it can, for example, help you a lot during the Berserker fights. I will leave a link to the video that I used to find all the Odin Ravens that I was missing in the video description. And now onto the amazing Motsognir skull. Yes, this one can instantly stun almost every enemy and maybe hit them a bit and then perform the stun grab attack. 2 enemies appearing out of a rift, no problem. Activate the relic and I could do 2 stun grabs at the start of a fight. Got a lot of Einarjar lined up. Bam. I think the range is pretty wild for this as well. Hey, we got that traveler again during the boss rush Muspelheim challenge. But now, bam, I can immediately stun it and very easily turn the fight in my favor. It's also just very fun that when bosses appear during this challenge, that you can then immediately stun grab them. It makes it way easier. This relic lets you even stun enemies while they still have their elemental shield active, although you still cannot stun grab them. So, smart to remove that first. It sadly doesn't really do a lot against the trolls, like not a lot of stun build up from this at all. Although again, as I also said in the intro, when an ogre appears, you can immediately stun it to climb on their back and continue your rampage. This is after upgrading it, by the way, which improves the effect, and it's also surprisingly good against the berserkers to also stun grab them multiple times during the encounter, as again, thanks to the gloves from the berserker set, I could reduce the otherwise pretty long cooldown. You can check that berserker video by clicking on the screen. Subscribe if you haven't already for way more Ragnarok content like this, because now I want to do an extra spoiler warning before I show you the location. Again, it's in Niflheim over here on the map, but I want to explain it a bit more. So if you haven't completed the main story yet, then totally come back later. Okay, you're still here. So this area left from the blacksmith opens up after finishing the main story. Like, it's a really cool side quest, I won't spoil it. And then when you reach location, you will see a legendary chest on the other side. So you want to reach that, and you do that by going 1 level down. Then pull the chains, so the thing you just used to get down goes down even more. Then go another level below this, and then push the other spear platform point all the way up. Now you can navigate to the top of this location again and reach the legendary chest, which you can of course open. But it's all about the relic that you find next to it, so grab it and then this amazing stun machine is yours. Again, subscribe for way more Ragnarok content. We got more guides planned and already up on the channel. A like would be amazing, and check that video on how to get the Berserker items by clicking on the screen for if you haven't watched it yet. Thanks for the support, I will speak to you soon and goodbye.